Welcome, everybody, to week 15 of the Gridiron Address. It's your host, Aaron Schneider, and I got three guests with me today. A big panel, super excited. Introducing first, host of Lombardi Party, Green Bay Packers podcast on Boom Broadcasting. It's Carsen Williams. Carsen, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I am so happy to be here on the Gridiron Address. I wasn't able to get an episode of Lombardi Party out this week with finals and everything, and also I just didn't really want to. The Packers lost, and that made me sad. But I know I got to do it anyway. So, but I'm doing good today. I'm glad to be here.
And he was gone for a second, but now he's back. Co-host of Sideline Savants, host of Three from Deep. It's all on Boom Broadcasting. It's Jason Colenso. Jason, how are you doing tonight?
Good, man. How you doing? I hope you can hear me. I was having a little technical difficulty here, so we're back. We're back live here. Had a little bit of weather today in the area, so things have been a little spotty. So great to be here, man. Love being on here. What a heck of a Sunday for some NFL football, that's for sure.
We can hear you plenty clear, Jason. Happy you're back. And he popped in for a second. I didn't mean to do that. Last but not least, it is basically my co-host of the show, host of Dugout Debrief. It's Chris DeLuca. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
Well, Steelers lost, but we're here. We played a competitive game, and we're going to talk about that here a little bit more.
And starting us off tonight, Jason, we are going to hit on your New York Giants, who got beat pretty handily by Steelers division rival, the Baltimore Ravens, 35-14. And at this point, we really need to look towards the offseason for this Giants team. Their season has been dead in the water for a month and a half, 2 months now, but it feels like there's going to be a serious mass exodus in that Giants organization. I don't know how you can justify keeping Brian Daboll and the GM after this kind of season. But Jason, in the likely event that the Giants do clear house and gut the front office, who do you want to see step in that head coach role?
That's going to be tough. A lot of it is predicated on the Giants' vision of the future. I mean, this is one of those things I don't know. We have Malik Neighbors, Tracy Jr., and a band of misfit toys. So I don't know what they want to do. There's not a lot of clarity coming out of the front office, coming out of the Giants right now. I saw Mr. Sanders throwing some passes over the Heisman weekend over to Malik Neighbors. So I don't know. Does that mean, Giants currently hold first pick? Does that mean Sanders incoming? And if one Sanders is coming, does that mean it might bring another Sanders with him as a head coach? I don't know. This is the most frustrating season I think I've had as a Giants fan. We've had a lot of them, but I've never seen it to where we have no clue on what this team wants to do, no clue on their identity. I could see the offensive coordinator for Detroit coming over. There's a lot of great OCs out there right now, I think, vying for head coaching jobs. Daboll and that whole crew is not going to last. The GM is not going to last. They really, in the last 4 or 5 years of the New York Football Giants, they have really put this franchise back. We've had some tough years, but there's nothing right now that I could say positive coming out of this year. We were looking at next year, I think game 1. That's how bad this season has been. So what the Giants are going to do, I have no clue.
Carsen, what would you like to see the Giants do in terms of a head coaching change?
I think Ben Johnson. I know Jason mentioned him, but I just think Ben Johnson would be really, really good over there. First off, if I'm the Giants, I think round 1 you have got to select a quarterback. You've got to get a quarterback early because obviously it's not going to be Daniel Jones. And even like I just think that you have to because you've got no future at that position right now. And what's better for a rookie quarterback than the best offensive coordinator in the entire league, or one of the best offensive coordinators in the league coming in for a rookie quarterback. That would just be really great for his development. And I think Ben Johnson could do amazing things for Malik Neighbors. That's like a combination that kind of scares me. I'm a Packers fan. I'd also just like to get him the hell out of the NFC North, honestly. But I think he would be really good in New York if he could really like change things kind of the same way that Dan Campbell did in Detroit, because New York, you got a lot of problems, more than just the head coach, more than just the quarterback. You really need to change from the top down, but I think that Ben Johnson would be a good candidate to at least get that started.
And Chris, same question to you. What do you want to see the Giants do at head coach?
I mean, honestly, it's got to be a total reset button. And every time I watch this team, I just feel like sympathy for them. Malik Neighbors is the only player on that team that has any type of future or shows any type of spunk. I mean, it seems like they are completely inept offensively. And there are some defensive pieces like Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, there are some there, but offensively, it is just comically bad, and it's almost unwatchable. I mean, I'll joke about the Steelers being, their offense being unwatchable. We've gotten a little bit better, but the Giants' offense, especially this game with Tommy DeVito leading them, was really bad. And then Tim Boyle looked better. Tim Boyle looked better. I mean, he was hitting games. He had 2 long passes later, so it's really unwatchable. And overall, the way that I would fix it would be to, yes, draft a quarterback. I think Ben Johnson is much more likely to go to the Giants as opposed to a team like the Cowboys, assuming that they do fire their head coach, simply because of the Jerry Jones thing. We've talked about that in Out of Pocket, my opinion on Jerry Jones and why, if I was Ben Johnson, I would not go to the Cowboys. I would rather go to the Giants personally, but I rest my case with that.
It's one thing.
And Malik Neighbors almost got hurt in the game too, by like in not even in a play, like after the play, someone stepped on him. So I don't even know why Malik Neighbors is playing in these games. Like, for the love of God,
you want to get him work though. You want to get him work. I mean,
you do. As
there's getting work, and then there's getting him hurt. I don't want him hurt. He's our future.
It's one thing to be like completely. It's one thing to be bad offensively, like the Steelers, they're not great offensively, but it's not because they're dejected, like this team is behind Russell Wilson. They have George Pickens. Like, they're just not very good. The Giants are dead in the water offensively. They're dejected. It's like they don't want to be playing football anymore,
It's lethargic.
It is 100%.
But speaking of a lethargic offense, we got to talk about my Carolina Panthers. They came absolutely crashing back down to earth after playing some incredibly competitive football last few weeks. They just made the Dallas Cowboys look like a pretty good football team, and that just does not sit right with me at all. It is incredibly upsetting. I'm so glad I did not bring Michael on this week because I thought about it, but
I thought he was going to be here. I'm disappointed.
It was just terrible. I mean, the offensive line that had been the lone bright spot the entire season, they gave up 6 sacks. They showed absolutely nothing. Iquanu was getting bullied by Micah Parsons. Moton was getting bullied by Micah Parsons. They just could not figure out how to stop him and everybody else on that Cowboys defensive line. But that's not the only issue they had. There were turnover struggles. Bryce Young, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. One of them on just a misplaced underthrown ball that you hate to see. But Chris, we'll start this off with you. In your opinion, what does Carolina need to address first in the draft? Because this game reinforced the fact that Carolina needs help almost everywhere on that football team.
I mean, secondary. There's a lot of things that they need. There's a lot of things that they do need. And is my audio okay? Is my audio okay?
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay, sorry. It was breaking up. There's a lot of things that they need. I would definitely say address the secondary. The offensive line, as you mentioned, had been respectable before the past few games, but was not, this game. And at the receiving core too. I mean, Adam Thielen really wasn't even targeted hard hit this game. They need to go ahead and get someone else there. But there's a lot there, but I will say that quarterback is not the issue. I've been a Bryce Young fan for a long time. I'll continue to that.
Carsen, to you now, what does Carolina need to address first to help get this team on the path to success?
I mean, am I allowed to say the coaching staff? It's kind of it. The Carolina, to me, is another team that just needs a change from the head down. I mean, first off, David Tepper is one of the worst owners that has ever owned anything.
Not the worst.
He's so terrible. But I think it does need to be this offensive line. They had been respectable. Bryce Young has only been sacked 21 times this year. It's in 11 games, but still, that's pretty good. Last year, though, which I think is kind of more indicative because Bryce hasn't been in all the time. Last year, he got sacked, I believe, 62 times in 16 games. And they have been better, but Bryce Young is a quarterback who can succeed when he's being protected because he's a smaller quarterback. He's not the most athletic. I do think he's pretty good at breaking out of sacks. I think that he's made that offensive line look a little better just on the stat sheet. But they're still really terrible. And when Bryce Young is being chased like this and he doesn't have the time, then Bryce Young looks terrible. He just doesn't have the ability to break sacks like a lot of the elite quarterbacks in this league, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, even Joe Burrow and Jordan Love, I think, is really good at breaking sacks too. But Bryce Young just doesn't have that. He has the accuracy. I think he has the timing. But I think if you give him a good offensive line and give him at least like 3 seconds to throw the ball, I think he can succeed with this receiving group. We've seen it. We saw it against the Chiefs. We saw it against the Bucks, with the Eagles to an extent. Like, he had been good for a stretch, and it was while he was being protected pretty well. But if he keeps getting chased around like this, there's no way that he will ever be able to succeed as an NFL quarterback.
And Jason, if you were in charge of Carolina, what are you doing to get this team back on track?
Starts on the offensive line. Look, the offensive side of the ball is where you make your money. That's the, that's what it is for television. They want to see touchdowns. They want to see who you run the ball. So you start on the offensive line. You do need to protect Bryce Young. He can't throw the ball when he's on his back. You need a run game. Right now, you got Chuba Hubbard, and that's about it. Unfortunately, Brooks hurt. You have some guys on the defensive side of the ball. They're just all hurt. So I think a lot of it depends on who gets healthy and you have for next year. So, yes, you got some defensive pieces you can put in there. Try to find you a stopping, maybe a good linebacker, somebody that could chase the quarterback on that side. You do need a little bit of a secondary, but you got some guys on that side. Once they get healthy, I think that can help you. But right now, your offensive line is trash. If you can stop people from putting pressure on Bryce Young, give him time in the pocket, he can be a successful quarterback. He's a game manager quarterback right now. He's not a gunslinger. He's not a deep threat. He doesn't have wheels like some of the other quarterbacks. So he has a specific skill set. And with that skill set, you need an offensive line, and he doesn't have that. So right now, Panthers, go out, get yourself an offensive line. Become one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League, and you'll be successful. That happened in Dallas. That happens in a lot of these teams that have, great running. Detroit, look at Green Bay right now. They have really, really good offensive lines, and they protect their quarterback. So Josh Allen, except Josh Allen can run all over the field. That's a whole nother story. But start up front, fix that offensive line, get some high-priced talent, and then start putting the pieces on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe get you a nice little steal in the draft. as far as wide receiver goes, because you definitely need somebody that can catch the ball. Look, Thielen's going to be there, but he's not going to be there for much longer. Leggett has some talent, but is he that deep threat? Is he that real boom guy for you? I don't think so. I think you still need that big head home run hitter for Bryce Young to kind of just close his eyes and chuck it down the field. You don't really have that right now, but you at least have hope. As a Giants fan, we got no hope. You Panthers fans, you got something to hang your hat on. Yes, this was a stinker game. I even picked you guys to win, to beat the Cowboys, because every time them damn Cowboys fans win a game, it's their Super Bowl, and now they're doing the abacus, and they're all, we still alive for the playoffs. I'm waiting for it on Monday. The Prez is going to bring out his abacus and all these other things and show a line to the playoffs for the Cowboys. But anyway, Panthers, you at least got something to hang your hats on this year.
I think that was a good point about Detroit doing that, because I don't even think Jared Goff is that much better than Bryce Young. I mean, I do like Jared Goff. I think he's a really good game manager, and that's all he's being asked to do in Detroit. He's got good timing. He's accurate. But I think Bryce Young is also accurate and has good timing. He doesn't have the physicals of Jared Goff, but Jared Goff by no means has the physicals of like a Josh Allen or anybody, So I think Detroit is the blueprint. You get an offensive line like that, and now all you need is a good OC. Like, now all you need is a good play caller when you have a decent quarterback and a great offensive line. So if I'm the Panthers, that's what I'm upgrading first.
And moving on now, it's going to be Chris's Steelers. They fell to the Eagles. 2-score loss. It's not great. The defense was all right. I mean, holding the Eagles to only 27, that's pretty solid. But TJ Watt goes out looking like a foot or ankle injury. That is not a good look for Pittsburgh. They have an absolutely brutal last 3 games. They got Baltimore, they got Kansas City, and they got the Bengals, who they only beat by 6 not that long ago. Chris, after this performance and given the rough 3 games that the Steelers have ahead of them, could we see Pittsburgh crumble late and lose the division to Baltimore?
I mean, I never thought we were going to win the division going into this year, if I'm being honest with you guys. And I'm not saying this as a pessimist. I mean, Aaron knows me the best when it comes to my football and opinions, but it's hard. I didn't expect us to win this game. I want to say that straightforward, and I think all you guys probably also had the Eagles in this, but our defense looked respectable, not as good as it needed to be. The news with TJ Watt, I was checking Twitter here within the past couple minutes while we had our previous panel discussion, and right now it's just a foot injury. We don't know what. Mike Tomlin said he doesn't know the timeline. They're doing the post-game interviews as we speak. No timeline yet from what I've seen. Overall, it's going to be hard, but I still think that we can put up a fight against Kansas City. I still think we can, with how Kansas City's offense has looked recently. I think we can, especially healthy. I think we went into the Philadelphia game with a more confident mentality than we should have, and that's what resulted in that 2-score loss. I'm disappointed in the offense. I'm disappointed a little bit less, but still disappointed in the defense. And if TJ Watt can come back here in a week or 2, we can rest him. We can maybe win this division, but it's going to come down to that Baltimore game, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But to be honest with you guys, I had us losing to Philadelphia, and I had us losing to Kansas City. I've been mathing that out since the beginning of the year. And still, 3 losses. To be honest with you, the Indy game we should have won. The Dallas game we should have won. Michael and I talked about that in Out of Pocket, but classic Steelers game wasn't what I wanted, but I'm not mad because I wasn't expecting much from it, if that makes sense.
Jason, like we said earlier, Pittsburgh's got a brutal end of the season to contend with their offense not really looking too great and their defense looking okay, but absolutely not where it needs to be against a high-powered offense like the Eagles. Are we going to see Pittsburgh crumble late and blow the division to Baltimore?
A lot of it just depends on guys getting healthy. I mean, today showed you how important Pickens is to that offense. He is much of a mouth he really is. Russell Wilson needs him. They need that deeper threat. Pickens is there, and he helps that offense. He helps the run game. He helps spread the field, and that was evident today. That defense is a good defense. Pittsburgh is no joke on defense, but they were struggling from behind because they were on the field more. And that when they're on the field more, they're going to struggle. But with that offense, missing Pickens, that was huge. So if he can get healthy and get back into the game, and Watt's injury is not, knock on wood, is not that bad, Pittsburgh has a shot to shock some people because Mike Tomlin's a heck of a coach. He game plans really, really well. You're going to have some games coming up here where the weather's going to be a factor. So you're going to have some sloppy games coming up, and nobody wins ugly games like the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just, right now, without having Pickens there, he is a vital piece to that puzzle, and it hurts them tremendously because they don't have any other threat. I mean, Freiermuth is okay. Austin's okay. I mean, you don't have that other deep threat that spreads the field, and it was evident today. So Pittsburgh needs to get healthy. If they can't get healthy, they are going to struggle because Russ can cook, but he can't cook by himself.
Carsen, before we move on to little rapid fire segment, are we going to see a late season collapse from Pittsburgh?
No, I don't think so. I think you guys might be overreacting a little bit. First off, I think the Chiefs are going to lose to the Steelers. That offense is just not. I don't think their offense is good enough to, especially if TJ Watt is back. And that offensive line is so bad for the Chiefs this year. So I think that the Steelers are going to win that game. They're going to limit the Chiefs to probably the lowest points they've had over this year, and probably the lowest that they've had over the last 5 years or however long they've been the best team in football. But I think that they're going to lose that game to the Steelers. And then, look, Baltimore is going to be a rough game, but they're saying that George Pickens is supposed to be back by then, or at least he has a chance to. And if TJ Watt is back, TJ Watt, I think, isn't the biggest piece in that game. Just because you're not going to sack Lamar Jackson, really. And the strategy there is to keep him from running, which Steelers always do very, very well against Lamar. They play the Baltimore Ravens probably better than anybody else in this league. So, no, I think that you guys might be overreacting a little bit. I still like the Steelers. I know I said their offense isn't very good, and it's not, but it's at least capable. If I'm getting the ball in Jalen Warren's hands in space. I really like him. I think that he can make some dudes miss, and I like him a lot. I think he's probably the most dynamic person on the offense with Pickens out right now. So I would be calling some screens for him. But no, I don't think that we're going to see a collapse from Pittsburgh.
I definitely agree with that, with using the option more, especially with Warren too, with Najee not having the best, especially this past game. He had the two touchdowns in the past 2 games, but this game not as well. I definitely agree with using the option of Warren a lot more, especially with how good the offensive line has been.
And with that, we're going to move on to a rapid fire segment. I'm going to ask all 3 of my panelists tonight one question about a game that we did not go into more detail. So starting off, Jason, the Saints almost came back against the Commanders, but they decided to go for 2, go for the win at the end of the game, and they didn't get it. What do you think of that decision from them to go for 2 and not take the extra point to send it to overtime?
Oh, why not? I mean, it's one of those things that if you go to overtime, you're just risking more injury. The Saints aren't going anywhere this year. They had their backup quarterback in. Kamara was hurt. So why the heck not? They did claw their way into this. I was a little disappointed in the Commanders. they had this game whole-handedly and then just kind of fell asleep in the second half. I had them in my defense on my fantasy team, and they were doing great for me. And then all of a sudden, they're giving up touchdowns to a bunch of no-name Saints, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, when your season's trash, why not go for two? These are those kind of things that if you get it, you're a hero and you beat the Commanders. If you don't get it, you're at least not going to overtime and risking injury.
Carsen, the Texans forced 4 turnovers to barely get a win over the Dolphins, coming out on top 20-12 right now. How confident are you in this team's ability to win a playoff game given the inconsistencies that we've seen from them all season?
Not very at all, really. I think their defense is pretty good, and they might be able to hang, but this offense just hasn't been good, and I don't understand it because I love Nico Collins and I love C.J. Stroud, but I just don't understand it. The Dolphins, they're not a good defense. The Dolphins against elite offenses, which is what the Texans were supposed to be. They've gave up 30 to the Packers, 24 in the first half. They gave up 30 and 31 to the Bills the 2 times they played them. They gave up 24 to the Seahawks. I don't even think the Seahawks are an elite offense. They gave up 31 to the Titans, 28 to the Cardinals. They gave up 26 to the Jets. So this is not a very good defense. To only put up 20 points against them, I don't think is a very good sign going forward.
And Chris, Josh Allen continues to make his case for MVP. Great performance against Detroit, leading the Bills to a high-scoring victory. After this game, how have your feelings changed about each team?
I mean, honestly, the feelings have not changed that much. I mean, I think this could potentially be a Super Bowl preview. I'd love it to be a Super Bowl preview because, 2 teams that have really, really had some struggles, let's just say in the postseason, they're past. I mean, 362 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 122.4 passer rating, and a 48-42 win. This is why this should have been the Sunday game. I don't get it. It's no hate against Carsen and his Packers, but this should have been the Sunday night game. I don't get why they didn't flex that, but the NFL has their logic, I guess, whatever. It really doesn't change my opinion because I think it could have gone either way, and it was high scoring. We all probably thought that was going to be high scoring, and it was high scoring. So I think both teams are still contenders regardless of how it ended.
And moving on, we're talking about Carsen's Packers. They're taking on the Seattle Seahawks tonight. The Packers are only favored by 2.5 points, which came as a bit of a shock to me. Granted, Seattle's playing some decent football, 4-game winning streak. They actually have the 3rd most passing yards per game in the entire league, which I did not know until I was looking up some stats earlier today. And the Packers' 5th in total offense, like Carsen said earlier, they are a high-powered offense. Carsen, what are you expecting to see from your Green Bay Packers tonight?
I expect a win. I expect us to win the turnover battle. Geno Smith is a very turnover-prone quarterback. He's a gunslinger, and I love a gunslinger. Jordan Love is a gunslinger. But Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney is a really, really good safety. And Javon Bullard and Evan Williams are both really, really good safeties, even as rookies. And we've got Edgerrin Cooper coming back, who I love as a linebacker. Romeo Doubs is coming back. He's just going to make our offense more deadly. The Packers have scored 30 or more points 4 times this season, and they've scored 25 or more points 3 more times this season. So this offense really is deadly. And Jordan Love, it starts with him, and he's just been on fire recently. 67.1 in the last 4 games, 67.1% completion percentage, 226 pass yards per game, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, and that was the 1 interception against the Bears where it wasn't a bad read, it was just a bad throw. And I am much more happy with interceptions like that because bad throws are going to happen every once in a while, but when a quarterback is reading the game correctly, then that is more encouraging. 118.8 passer rating in the past 4 games. And the stat that I think most impressive, 9.3 yards per pass. That is, that's insane. Basically a first down every single pass. The reason his stats don't look better is because Josh Jacobs has been a monster, and Matt LaFleur is calling this offense very balanced. I think even more rushing than passing. So I think that it's going to be kind of, I don't want to say a blowout, but I don't think it's going to be super competitive. I like the Seahawks, but I think that they're kind of fluky. My one worry is that the Packers secondary has not been very good. Jair is still out. But like I said, we've got our safety trio back. And I think that's going to be okay. Keyshawn Nixon has been playing a lot better recently. So we'll see, but I'm pretty confident.
Now, Friday on Out of Pocket, you were in the comments saying Packers by 14. Do you have a final score prediction?
That was a little bit of embellishment. I actually think it's going to be Packers.
Oh man, stand behind it! Come on, just say Packers.
No.
Packers by 14.
Come on, dude. I know you're
Own it, man. Own it.
You're a gambling man, Carson.
The Packers have a tendency to, once they get up big, they start playing a lot more conservative. That's what we saw against the Dolphins when we put up 24 in the first half and then 6 in the second half. So I've got Packers in this game 30-24, but I don't think it's going to be as competitive as the scoreboard looks.
Jason, who do you think is going to win tonight, and give us your final score prediction?
I got the Packers. They've won 3 out of the last 4. Look, they came within 3 points of beating the high-powered Detroit Lions. They are playing well. I got Jordan Love in a lot of my fantasy leagues, so I need a 400-yard, 3-touchdown performance from Mr. Love, so let's go. But listen, Cheesesteak Gino does catch lightning in a bottle every once in a while. He's going to have Zach Charbonnet running the football, who is coming off an amazing game he had last week. Smith and Jigba, up-and-coming wide receiver. I think he is a stud. So don't sleep on the Seahawks. I don't think this is going to be that easy of a game for the Packers. I got 24-17 Packers. I think the Packers will win this game and come out with a victory. But they got to be careful. I want to see what the Packers' run defense is going to do, because how do you prevent Jordan Love from scoring touchdowns? You keep the football out of his hands. So I think those Seahawks are going to try to run the football and kind of drag this game out and try to play a rock'em sock'em kind of dragged out game. So, but I think Pack ended up winning it.
And Chris, who's winning tonight? And give us your final score prediction.
Well, I first want to say hello to Jason's cat, who I just saw behind him right there.
That's Twinkle. Twinkle's making an appearance here.
I want to say hello to Twinkle. I could go grab Pisco, but he's downstairs probably. But it's going to be close. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot closer than I think. Jason actually took my final score prediction, so that's why I was sitting there.
Sorry.
I'm going to go 21-10 Packers. I think that Gino could catch fire and he could lead them to a win. There's a very good chance. I mean, obviously, we love our WVU people because we're right here live in Morgantown right now. But I still think the Packers and Jordan Love are going to come to the win. So, yeah, we're gonna say around 21-10ish. It's close, but who knows? Seattle could push and win.
I do want to push back real quick. I know that we're running over, but I want to push back real quick to what Jason said, just because I'm a Packers fan and I'm hard-headed. The Packers defense, run defense specifically, has been incredible over the last few games. 11 carries for 31 yards against Christian McCaffrey. And then against David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 carries for 51 yards, 3.6. That's not bad. But against Jahmyr Gibbs, it was 15 carries for 43 yards. It's a 2.9 average. So I have a lot of confidence in the Packers' run defense. I think this is going to have to be a shootout if the Seahawks have a chance.
We'll see.
And look, Carson, I hate to jinx your Packers, but I got to go Green Bay too. We know how it works when the whole panel picks and the other team's going to win, but
yeah,
I got Packers 27-21, but it could be a good game. Charbonnet's a pretty solid receiving threat too, to your point about the Packers' run defense being stout. I don't think that we'll see a crazy rushing game from him, but he could pop off in the passing game. But That'll do it for week 15 of the Gridiron Address. Chris, any last words before we go?
Hey man, dugout debrief dropping this Thursday. We're already on the AL West at this point. We've done the AL Central and we have done the AL East. We're going to be doing an AL West coverage. We're going to see how many free agents are coming in between now and Thursday. Who knows? We'll have to talk about. We have a Hall of Fame discussion as well. So we have a lot coming up here on Thursday. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to the best up-and-coming sports YouTube channel, social media outlet on the internet, Boom Broadcasting.
Chris, always happy to have you on. And Carsen, any last words before we go?
Yeah, just thanks for having me on. I mean, you can't say much that Chris didn't say right there. Go subscribe to Boom Broadcasting. Hit the little notification bell. Comment on the videos. We love to hear your voice. We love to know what you guys think of us. So leave it in the comments.
Appreciate it, Carsen. Always happy to have you on. And Jason, anything before we go off air?
No, I appreciate being on, man. I always love being on here with you. I thank you so much. I love the opportunity. We got 3 from Deep dropping new episode tomorrow at 12 p.m. And then on Wednesdays, I drop my fantasy football with the commissioner for Sideline Savant. So a lot of great content going on. We can't say enough about Boom Broadcasting. Guys, go like and subscribe. It's free. There's not a lot of free presents out there right now, but go out there this holiday season and get yourself some because we got a lot of great content, whether it's sports, wrestling, TV, etc. You got to love us. So, Aaron, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's always a great time. So thank you so much, man.
Always happy to have you on, and that'll do it for week 15.